So the issue regarding the plane full of Palestinians that landed in South Africa keeps getting interesting. Now, if you remember, the South African government came out and said that they were shocked. They were not aware that this thing is happening. But we know that the South African government, at every turn, they are always shocked when something happens in South Africa, right? But in this country, government officials came out and say, actually, the South African government was aware that this thing was happening. So what is really going on? Well, Mr. T is here with some tea in geopolitics. So let's dive in. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, a plane full of Palestinians landed in South Africa on Thursday, and it was carrying 153 Palestinians. And these Palestinians didn't have traveling documents, they didn't have exit stamps that should be put on their passport or from the country of origin, right? So they didn't have proper traveling documents. And this started to cause issues and problems. They were kept on the plane, then they were transferred to buses, and then 12 hours later, they were given the opportunity to stay in the country for 90 days as they plan for what happens next, right? So the South African government, including Cyril Ramaphosa, came out. He looked like he was busy with something, and then he came out and then he gave a press briefing where he was saying that the South African government wasn't aware of this thing happening, that it was shocking, and so on and so forth.
And these are people from Gaza who somehow mysteriously were put on a plane that passed by Nairobi and came here. And I got to hear about it from my Minister of Home Affairs, wanting to know, what do we do now?
Now, after doing some investigations, this can't be true that the South African government was completely unaware that this thing was going on, that they were shocked. Because this is not the first flight. The first flight actually came last month in October, and it was carrying even more people than this current flight. I think it was carrying about 173. So it's not true that the government can say we are completely unaware. Because if something like that happens, then they had to investigate, right? They had to find out where these people are coming from, who facilitate these flights. I think that flight passed through Egypt, so it took off in this country. I'm not gonna say the name because all of the videos that I make where I say their name, the views are terrible. Now back to the point, right? So a plane cannot just fly out of a country and then go to another stop and then come to South Africa without someone knowing that this thing was happening, right? Because when you do international travels, you send your visas, your passport, and so on and so forth, your tickets, and then that information is usually sent to the country that you're going to. And then those people can vet. They can go through the list and check. That's why when you arrive, they literally can single you out and say, that one, you, that way, because they've already checked. And if anything is suspicious, that's where it's supposed to be picked up, right? So if that happened in October, then it means that the officials in South Africa must have started an investigation to see what is going on here. So when the second plane lands, you can't say we are totally unaware, we are shocked. This is a complete mystery, because it is not, because it has happened before. And if you are busy with that investigation, this cannot be a complete mystery. Now, that doesn't mean that the South African government is involved into this thing. In fact, after doing some investigations, we have the name of the organization and who are working with them. So the name of the organization is Al Majid. I apologize if I'm butchering the name of the organization, but I mean, they are not doing good things, so I might as well butcher it. But it's Al Majid Europe, right? And they seem to be working with the government of this country, the country that can't be named. And the reason why I say that is because there's no way that a plane will fly out of that country without the government knowing. Not only that, there are no airports that are functioning inside Gaza. So what happened is that these people are saying that they sent their documents online, they paid a large amount of money. I think it was about $2,000 per person. So they paid money, and then they were put in buses, and then they passed through Karim Shalom passing, which is controlled by the army and the government, right? They passed through there, got into buses, and got into this country's territory. From there, they went to an airport to the south of this country, which is called Roman Airport. So definitely, this country is involved in this whole thing. And it makes a lot of sense if you know what has already been happening in that area in Gaza. We know that this country's government actually wants to move everybody out of there, and they want to build resorts together with Donald Trump, right? They say it publicly that they would like for everyone there to be ethnically cleansed and moved out of that area so that they can own it and build their resorts. And it makes a lot of sense because this country actually has ambitions to grow even more. Actually, they want to take about half of Egypt, half of Lebanon. They want to go into Syria, and then they will take Jordan, almost half of it, and then Saudi Arabia, and then a huge part of Egypt. They say that actually belongs to them, and they say that one day they're going to take it back. So, of course, we understand that they are trying to get rid of Palestinians who are in Gaza, right? So that they can take it over together with Donald Trump and own it. So this adds into that plan. It makes a lot of sense why they would want to do it. So now taking a step back and looking into this thing, it looks like there's this group which is working with this government, which makes a lot of sense, and then they're trying to get as many people out of Gaza as possible, and they're making those people pay a large amount of money. That because they control the entire thing that happens in that country. But then these people don't know which countries they're gonna end up in. So they're just told that we're gonna facilitate a way out of you, you're gonna go into a safe place. And because the name has Europe in it, they probably think that they're going to Europe, whereas they're not going to Europe. So it's in a way to trick them into thinking that they're going to a certain place, whereas they are not. So as for the South African government, I don't think they are facilitating this thing, but I think that they are now aware that this thing is happening, and they should have been aware because it happened the first time in October. And on top of that, I feel like the South African government needs to be very vigilant. Once you start a beef with this country, it doesn't end. Yamadoda ipeli when it comes to this country. It doesn't let go of a grudge. So because we're already taking them to the ICJ, we need to be vetting everybody who's coming in. There's already rumors about people who are taking positions and taking land and all of that in the Western Cape, and all of a sudden the Western Cape wants to be a country and separate, and all these people flying to the US, and Donald Trump is no longer coming for the G20. If you just realize that all of this stuff started when we took that case of this country to the ICJ, which was justified, by the way. I'm not against that, but South Africa must also take into consideration the threats that comes with that. So I just wanted to give you that update that the South African government, when they say they were completely unaware, that can't be true because this has happened before in October. And also that the organization that we are talking about here that is facilitating this is literally working with the government. We should be more careful when it comes to checking who's coming in and who's coming in other means. Not just people coming in this plane, but people who are arriving from anywhere else in the world. Because we know that this country, you don't mess with this country and sleep a good sleep at night. It will keep you up at night. So that's all I wanted to share with you. If you like this kind of content, go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link is on my bio. Just go and click that and it will take you there, and I will see you there.